Hey everybody, I just saw Godzilla Minus One and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. I don't want to go on too long, but I do think this movie is worth saying a few words about, giving a little review or analysis or analysis of. Now, I'm not the hugest monster movie or Godzilla fan, and the last few efforts that have been put forth by Hollywood, with Godzilla or King Kong or other big creatures. These multi million dollar productions, or the Meg, or these other things about monsters in the sea doing stuff. And it's costing zillions and zillions of dollars of major Hollywood studio money. I've generally found those to be pretty underwhelming, but this movie is different. This is a Japanese-made movie, which is of course appropriate since Godzilla is came from Japanese cinema to begin with, and it was made, as I understand it, on a much lower budget. However, it still has some pretty effective special effects, and it's just a surprisingly well-made movie. I don't know why I should say surprisingly. I guess just because it kind of came out of nowhere, and it came from people that probably neither you nor I have ever heard of. The I don't know by name the makers of this movie. I really ought to find that those things out. It's made in the Asian style, which is very interesting. It's interesting to see the different styles of acting. I think that Asian cinema, and maybe Asian just drama generally, is much more comfortable in heightened with heightened drama, what we would call melodrama. What seems to us scenes of people just going off the wall, just overacting and just going berserk or whatever. Like there's a couple scenes of a man just begging for mercy, and he bangs his head down. He bangs his head like it's beyond a bow. It's like he hits his head against like a table, a hard surface. And to us, it seems that like those kinds of gestures seem just kind of over the top. But it's a different, it's just a different style of cinema. It's a different way of it springs from a different culture. I don't think Asian cultures. I noticed those kinds of differences also in Korean-made movies and productions. I noticed in the Squid Game show, there were certain actors who really were kind of underplayed and more familiar, more what I'm used to, and more what I would call good acting. And then there were others like the main guy who was just a little kind of all over the place. But once you get used to it, once you say, okay, this isn't this isn't typical of the culture that I'm a part of, but for them, this is what they do. Then you can sort of take it on its own terms. Now, I'm talking about the style of acting, but really, this is a monster movie, right? This is a movie about Godzilla, and there's plenty of monstering. There's plenty of destruction of cities and all the kind of stuff that you see in a monster movie, and the man against monster, and man having to band together to fight monster. I would have to say that this movie is, and this is definitely a compliment to Asian culture, the most based, the least paused of any really any movie that I think I've seen over the last 5, 10 years. I mean, it's set in the '40s, so I guess it has, you can say, well, they're just reflecting the culture of the time. But I think that if you made an American movie that was set in the '40s, they would have to have some like plucky lesbian who comes on and says, "Hey, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight with the men, and I'm going to show them all that women can fight too." And there'd have to be some gay storyline or some interracial romance or something like that. There's absolutely nothing like that in this movie. It is such a breath of fresh air. There's no multiculturalism. Everybody's Japanese. There's no, like I said, there's none of the kind of elements none of the DEI type of elements that you would almost certainly find in a Western-made film. The men do the fighting. It's all men. Okay, you got men manning these battleships. You got men flying these warplanes, and it's men doing men's work, and that's it. That's the way it is. There are some female characters as well, and they're not they're not demeaned in any way, but they're just shown in classically or traditionally feminine types of roles. And as far as taking the fight to Godzilla, it's the men who do it, and exclusively the men. And there's no discussion about it, and there's no like, oh well, here's an immigrant he's not from Japan, but he's going to show us all up. He knows things that we Japanese don't know, and he's going to be the one who really wins the fight against Godzilla for us. Like it would be if it were some American movie where all the white guys would get shown up by some exotic other, and maybe there would be some prejudiced white guy saying, "Hey, we don't need them in doing our work," and then he'd get shut down or shown to be, shown to be a hateful bigot that he is, and get slapped around and learn his lesson and all that. There's none of that. Okay, and it's like it's just so reflexive. It's not even it's not done in defiance of anything like that. It's just the makers of the movie just said, no, this is the way it should be. This is the way we're used to it being, and so it's just kind of effortlessly made, in a very traditional manner. Now that said, there is a very interesting note that creeps in, which is it comes out that during the war, there was a lot of lives that were lost, and things could have the war effort was not handled the best by the military at all times, and so now civilians are the ones taking part in this effort for reasons that I don't want to. They're too complicated. They're geopolitical, but I don't really want to explain here. It'll get me too far off the beaten path. But these civilians, they're led by somebody who's a military man, but they talk about how this is for life, So this is not a fight to the death. This is a fight for the life of our, of Japan, and for the life of our children and our children's children, and so forth. And there's a question early on about a kamikaze pilot who forsook his kamikaze mission, and who feels like a coward for having done so. And there's somebody who's angry with him for doing that. There's a couple characters who believe he was a coward, that he wimped out because he didn't want crash his plane against an American fighter in the waning days of World War II. But so there's a question of, is he going to redeem himself by becoming a kamikaze again, by giving his life to fight Godzilla, or is he going to is he going to fight but also manage to live? There's this ethic of, the importance of human life, which is something that's a little different. It's it's a note of greater humanism, I suppose, that creeps in than we might typically see in this sort of movie. So I do recommend Godzilla Minus One. It's it's definitely worth seeing, if for nothing else, just for the cultural artifact that it is, and just to know that the Japanese have still got it. That they haven't totally sold their culture down the river like we have in the West. They're a great example as far as this movie goes. Anyway, they're a great example to follow, and I hope more Western movie makers watch this movie and grow a little bit of a backbone, and stop caving to this DEI crap, and start making the kind of movies that people really want to see again. So those are my thoughts on Godzilla Minus One. Let me know what you think. If you saw it, leave me your comments below. Thanks for watching.